Yeah, you guys zoom
Oh yeah.
in.
Oh, that's the good
Tilt
stuff.
your head down a little bit, I think. Yeah, there we go. That's the money shot. That's the mummy shot.
Hey, that was a
Hey.
good joke.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The Mummy 1932. An Egyptian mummy searches Cairo for the girl he thinks is his long-lost princess. Directed by Freund. Karl Freund? Starring Boris Karloff, who in our early on review of Bride of Frankenstein played the monster.
Yeah, I like this movie. The closest thing I do have to compare it to would be The Bride of Frankenstein, and I think I didn't like it as much. I felt like the very opening was exciting and the end was exciting, but kind of I just felt it dragged a bit in the middle in the second act. But overall, like, good performances. It was definitely, the story was not at all what I expected it to be. I really liked the idea of the mummy not being some demonic force or monstrosity or anything like that, but literally just a guy raised from the dead who's kind of trying to live his life. And it's funny that he's portrayed as the antagonist at the end, even though I feel like I was rooting for him the whole time. But yeah, it was good. I was very impressed with it.
It's more of a love story, if anything. Like, I thought it was going to just be a monster movie, and
My love has lasted longer than the temples of our gods. No man ever suffered as I did for you.
there are a few standout scenes that I really like about this movie, but like Nathaniel said, like comparing this to Bride of Frankenstein, I liked it a lot more as a film. I liked the scope of it, and I felt like it was a lot more epic in scale, even though this was in fact like a smaller scale story. Overall, I did like it. I think it was definitely worth the watch. It was definitely a very interesting story that I didn't expect going into it. I was glad that we all got to see it together for our first time.
I think it is very important to think about this within the context of time and what is going on when this movie was made. This movie was made in 1932. I'm pretty sure talkies were invented in 27.
Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet. Wait a minute, I tell you. You ain't heard nothing.
Yeah, so when this movie was made, we had less than 5 years of talking motion pictures, which is insane. Oh god, I think that was the last James Bond movie was 5 years ago. When you think about how recent that feels, that was how recent this film was to the dawn of talking pictures. Probably the biggest step forward for the entire artistic medium. And I think a lot of the issues people might have with this film relate to that, in the sense that the beginning and end are very exciting, and then there's a whole lot of scenes with talking rather than actual dialogue. And I think that's what slows it down for a lot of people, that the beginning of the film is very interesting, the end of the film is very interesting, and then a lot of it is them using this medium that is still very new and very fresh, and that an audience is clamoring for at the time. And I do wonder if maybe this film would have been better off as a silent film. I think it is really revolutionary having specifically a universal monster be as sympathetic as Imhotep is, and not just sympathetic to the extent that, say, Frankenstein's creation was, in the sense that they aren't inherently evil, but that you really, really hear Imhotep's motivation. There's a lot of really great shots. Boris Karloff, as in everything he's in, it seems, does an incredible job, incredible makeup, incredible facial expressions. He owns every scene that he is in. I love the throwback to when he was human. It feels like it is a silent picture.
I dared the gods' anger and stole it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely some things that drag it down. And I would probably agree with you guys that I prefer Bride over this. But I also think as fast as changes were happening, it makes sense that Bride is a more developed contemporary product after even just 3 years.
I would be curious, though, because the first Frankenstein movie came out in 1931. And I would be curious what the films around this time were like.
Yeah.
In comparison to this one. Like 30, 31, 32. If they all kind of had this issue where people were just excited about the medium and put as much dialogue in as they could, or if this film stood out.
So I've mentioned this before, that I know a lot of people have certain mental blocks with older films. And I wish that wasn't true. I would like to live in a world in which, we can all appreciate art from any time period, recognizing its value for today and also recognizing the context that has in time. But that is a world in which we do not live. So I would say if you find yourself apprehensive about older films, this probably is not the movie to break yourself in on. This definitely has trademarks of its era, both for good and for bad. Even more than a film, fascinating as a historical piece. But if you are used to this and you're willing to go in with those things in mind, I think it really significant and important. Has some really great shots, has some very eerie atmosphere, great way of setting up dread and nature of the mysterious. Great Boris Karloff performance, great makeup, great effects. And it's very interesting seeing what it did for its time.
Yeah, no, this was a surprising film. I liked Bride of Frankenstein more, but that might just be the fact that just development and getting used to like talking films over time. But I think it's an important film. It makes me interested to go back and see what Frankenstein is like. It made me curious about how they actually handled the material in that first one, even though they did use clips of that, I think, in Bride of Frankenstein at the very beginning. There are good performances in this movie. There are effects that still hold up pretty well, especially when they hold on Boris Karloff's eyes and whatever effect they do on his eyes or the way they have him lit. The disintegration they have him go through at the end. I think I plan on going back and watching it again at some point, but I would definitely recommend this to people who are interested in like old monster films.
I would recommend this to you if, you're willing to sit down and watch an older movie. And also, if you kind of like us, grew up watching the Brendan Fraser Mummy and have nostalgia for that one, I found it fascinating to kind of see the roots of where that story came from. And so I'd recommend it in that respect. Yeah, good performances, some very good set pieces of cinematography. Drags a bit, but at the same time, it's less than an hour and a half long. So even the points where it drags, it's not that much of a commitment of time. And so I'd recommend it. It's a good time.
So yeah, that is. Wait a second. I need to figure out what our next one is. Is next
Evil
our
Dead,
double
Evil
feature?
Dead 2.
Evil Dead, yeah.
Double feature.
Woo!
But guys, that's 2 movies.
Ooh.
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 Welcome to 32 days of Halloween.
It's a leap year.
Guys, I'm so excited for these. I love Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, and I can't wait to see them again.
I'm very excited about them as well. That has been our episode. Thank you guys so much for coming by. Like and subscribe, and please keep supporting us like you guys have been doing. We've had so many people since yesterday, and we called you guys all out. You came and you're like, hey, out of spite, you're gonna just support us now.
Help us reach 1.5 million subscribers.
Exactly. If you guys, that'll be good. If you guys could do that.
Actually, if we could just get to 1,000 subscribers, that's when we could start making money. So
support our Patreon.
Support our Patreon, our OnlyFans.
Our OnlyFans. There's a great picture on there of